Welcome to Scoop World Order. We are live. What a whipping. What an incredible way to close out the season at the Horseshoe. Last home game of the season. Last home game for Marvin Harrison, Trey Henderson. A lot of great seniors, Tommy Eichenberg, Cade Stover. Thank you for all you guys have ever done for Ohio State. You've got one big monster at the end of the tunnel. The Michigan Wolverines are next on the schedule. It is officially Michigan week. We're going to break down the Minnesota game. Then we're going to get into the Big Bad Blue. They struggled a little bit today, so we're going to get into that. We're going to take your questions. If you guys have a super chat that you want to know the answer to, if you guys have any questions, those literally stop our show and we will answer them immediately. So again, it's been a great little deal. Appreciate you guys. Consider joining Scoop Ultra. We launched that. We're gonna do some Ultra chats where it's just a Scoop Ultra subscriber member. So check that out. It's a part of our YouTube package now. We're really excited about that. We're gonna do some really, really awesome content going forward. So we appreciate you guys. If you could like this video, that is huge for us. Click the subscribe button. Again, we're getting a ton of new subscribers. Thank you all. It means a lot to us. Click that alert bell. Again, a lot of you guys love these live shows. We try to go around 7, but if it's a little bit later, you'll get a little ding and you'll know when we go live. So we appreciate you guys always kicking it with us. As always, I'm going to bring in my good friend at Nevada Buck. Nevada, you nailed this game. I think you said like 42-3, and it was 37-3. So you basically nailed it. You also nailed the Maryland game. I will give you props for that. I thought it was going to be a Michigan woodshed. It was not. It was a 7-point game. So props to you on that. I was off the mark on that. But again, you've been on point all year. What were your thoughts coming off the field? Again, it's amazing. And I know that there's some really stupid websites out there, some really stupid writers and some stupid fans that really were on Trey Henderson earlier this year. And you and I were like two guys that was just like, we're going to miss this guy severe. He's like Minnesota, or he's like San Francisco losing Christian McCaffrey. He's that good. He's a factor back. He's a guy that's one of the best guys I've seen at Ohio State. And I love running backs probably more than anybody. But your thoughts on Trey Henderson, Marvin Harrison, as these guys close out their careers in Ohio Stadium with the Michigan Wolverines on deck?
Yeah, well, first of all, I do want to take a victory lap on my my Maryland call. I did.
You did.
I'm telling you, I'm like, guys, I bet it up. I put my money where my mouth was. I took my Maryland plus 19. I bet Maryland at minus 18.5. I took Maryland at minus 18. I bet them at minus 17.5. I was chasing that thing all the way down the line. So that was a big one for Nevada Buck today. But I just thought that was so predictable. I mean, you have to understand that these are not robots. This isn't Madden 95 or whatever it is where you can just kind of put them in there and they go out there and they just, seek and destroy. I mean, Michigan was due for that. So I'm not overreacting about the Maryland game today, but I'm telling you, Michigan isn't all that. They're just not, So for people that make them out to be this big, scary monster, they're just not. They're okay. And McCarthy is a nice little college quarterback. He can't throw. He can't throw. Today, they literally refused to throw him because every time he threw the ball, it was nearly intercepted. He had one possession that was great where he threw it, and the guy literally dropped the interception. And then the next play, he threw the interception again. So it was like he got bailed out the one play and then threw it the next play. And so, I mean, he is just not great. And that offense is easy to defend. That defense, Maryland was carving those boys up today, and they don't have anybody like Trey Henderson. Now, Trey Henderson, for those of you that have been following the Nevada Buck and Kirk show for a while, you know how much grief I've taken for supporting Trey Henderson. And it's really, it's kind of it's kind of embarrassing that there are people on the other side of that argument going with the Trey doesn't have vision. He doesn't have patience. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? It's just like, that guy is so good. Yeah. He'll be the first back taken in the NFL draft. He will be an absolute force of nature in the NFL. He will be Christian McCaffrey. He will be Jahmyr Gibbs. He'll be, Alvin Kamara. He can run. He can catch. He can block. He can do it all. And the only thing I was worried about today was just that somehow Ryan Day, who I love, and I'm glad we have him, and I'm glad he's not going to Texas A&M, and I don't want him to go to the Patriots. But what in the world was he thinking?
Oh my God!
With some of it playing the guys today, like having those guys out there in the fourth quarter up 30 points or whatever it was, and then at the end of the first half, the clock is running out. Minnesota is not using their timeouts. They are content to go in 13-0. You've just got sacked, or it's 3rd and 18, and then you run another play, and you get Kyle McCord not only sacked but hurt. on the play. I
Whew.
mean, we talk about good Ryan and bad Ryan. That's evil Ryan, man. We had
Evil
evil Ryan
Ryan.
going to stuff. I mean,
Evil
so
Ryan.
I mean that was bad. I mean, it was just
Oh.
it was bad, but great win. A lot of people this year before the season thought under 10.5 was a sure bet. A lot of people
Oof.
thought this team was going to 3 losses. I mean, just this team. I mean, there's not a lot of Ohio State teams that had the opportunity to go 11-0. It's a very exclusive list of teams, and I'm so proud of this group, and I think we're playing our best football of the year right now, and couldn't come at a better time. So very optimistic about next weekend.
Well, I mean, I agree. And I mean, a guy who is coming on massively is Jack Sawyer. I mean, Jack Sawyer, again, in a game where you're going to need your ends to stop the run and play, he did it all. He's the best player on the field today. I mean, he had a sack, 3.5 tackles for a loss, 6 total tackles. I'm just telling you, like, I love it. I love him and JT. Again, I think that the defense is coming. I like where this team is. It reminds me a lot of the '06 year, the 1-2 game. It's going to be like that kind of a matchup. And I remember, the week before we played them, we played Northwestern. It was a game like this where we just bludgeoned them. We beat them to death. And then they played, I want to say it was like Ball State, and it was like actually a tight game. So, there was like this thing where it's like, did they peak? Are they okay? Now, granted, it was like a 42 to 39 or whatever when we played them, but like we felt really confident. Again, we bludgeoned a team. And again, like we did the same thing to Maryland. It's not like the Maryland game was tight for us. I mean, this is a 7-point game for Michigan. And, I mean, I like where this team's at. Again, I think Ryan Day gets very obsessed with stats sometimes, and it drives me absolutely crazy because, again, in football in November, when the team is absolutely beat to death, they're hurt. These guys are really hurt. I know some of these guys are hurt, but they're gutting it out. Like, get those guys out of the game. Win by 1, flush the game down the toilet. It's time to beat Michigan. This is the most important week of the entire year. So these guys that are done with the game, they need to go out tonight. They need to celebrate. They need to get loose. They need to drink some beer, some wine, whatever they want to drink. Hopefully like whiskey and vodka and stuff that's like hardcore. And then get their minds right, hit the sauna tomorrow, and get a good run in and get ready to roll. Because I mean, this is a real one here, and everything's breaking our way, which is somewhat scary because again, Sharon Moore is the head coach. They look like trash this week. A lot of distractions. Fired the linebacker coach. So I just like where we're at. We're gonna get into some film, get some super chats lining up. Nicholas Smith, appreciate you, brother. As always, love you guys. Go Buckeyes. I think we matched up very well for Michigan. Again, we've been saying it for weeks, and again, you can go back and watch some of my shows like maybe 2 months ago when I said, literally, I titled the show, Nevada and I would pick out a title before every show we talked to. I was like, should I say, is Ohio State a team of destiny? Because again, there were points in the season where people were ready, oh God, we stink. Oh God, we're gonna lose 4 games. And I'm like, guys, like, we have better players than everybody we go against. Like, if you're like the hottest chick, at the party, you're always going to be the hottest chick at the party. Nothing's going to change that. So we're still the best. So, and again, we've got a better head coach than anyone in the conference. And we have by far, the best skill guys. By far. Marvin, Trey, Emeka. Those are the top 3 guys in the entire conference across everywhere. So, Nevada, how do you feel we match up with Michigan? Because it's like every time I watch this film, I'm just like, Michigan's tackles were awful, and their left tackle got hurt today, I believe. One of their tackles, because they had a white kid in the left tackle instead of the kid from Arizona State, and he was getting roasted. And again, he got to come see Jack and JT, and Jack and JT are playing as good as any pair of ends in the entire country. How do you feel about this matchup, the Jim Knowles defense versus that running game? I absolutely love it. Again, I think when you got a guy like Ty Leak in the middle who's an absolute warhorse, and you've got some of these guys going, I don't know, man. These Michigan guys better eat their Wheaties. I'm telling you, this is going to be a real one.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Trey Henderson bludgeoning from the fan base, but Jack and JT got it full bore earlier this year too. And that was another one where I didn't quite understand. I mean, I understand that we weren't getting sacks, we weren't doing stuff, but you could see that they were starting to play within the confines of this defense. We've talked about the Jim Knowles defense, how they've redefined what it means to play great defense in 2023. It's not about the big splash plays. It's not, even though you'll get some of that stuff. It's about containing and suffocating the offense and taking that stuff away from them. And they did it again today. Just a magnificent job. I mean, in a running attack, in a power running attack, I like Jack and JT as our defensive ends as much as any pair of defensive ends in the country. I will take those 2 guys. Those guys are superior athletes. I thought that Michigan really struggled running the ball in the second half today when those offensive linemen went down. And look, it's going to take some weird stuff to happen for Michigan to stay in this game. That doesn't mean weird stuff can't happen. I mean, today, literally, the game swung. Michigan had 2 safeties today, a scoop and score from the 4-yard line for a touchdown, and they had a 4th and 10 phantom pass interference call that's just from the 13-yard line that sustained a drive that literally resulted in 7 points that would have been a 0 on the turnover. It was 4th and 10 when the guy threw the flag. So this was a very, very losable game for them against Maryland. And look, you can't use the transitive property and the things that happen. And I thought this was a very predictable time for them to be down on a low emotional ebb. But I'm just telling you, this is a good matchup for Ohio State, and it's a bad matchup for Michigan because they can't match up with our speed with our skill guy. They just can't. And the best news of all to me, out of all the things that I saw today, was Emeka looked back. I mean, Emeka looked like for the first time all year, he looked healthy, and I was like, that was what I was looking for. That was what I was waiting for, because now you've got a legitimate second wide receiver on top of Fleming and Tate and Stover at tight end and Trey Henderson out of the backfield. But you've got other receiving threats that can complement Marvin, and I think that's going to be problematic for Michigan. I do not think they're going to be able to stop our passing game. And Ryan, I just hope he does. I thought he called a really uneven. I thought the first possession of the game against Maryland today was just magnificent, absolutely virtuoso performance. And then every time we got the ball, they had the ball kind of deep. We had poor field position in the first half. They did a nice job of kind of driving the ball to the 40 or 50 and then putting it down inside the 10. And Ryan just didn't trust it at that point. And the play calling got really predictable. And we started to kind of slug it out a little bit. But hey, we still ended up winning the game 37-3. No major injuries. And go up to Ann Arbor and go get it done. But we're going to get it done. I've had a great handle on this Ohio State team all year. We're going to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Been saying it, man. I mean, that defense is balling. I love it. Another super chat. Ooh, that got real small. Your boy's gonna get his eyes checked. Sergio Salva, appreciate you, my man. Why did we run the last play? I don't know. I mean, Ryan, for as good as he is, sometimes he loses his mind. Again, games like this when you're playing a turd, you can't do something like that. There was Kyle. There's nothing to gain. You're not gonna get some super long touchdown. Nevada. What is he thinking sometimes?
Well, look, first of all, their clock management for Ohio State has been a problem throughout Ryan Day's tenure. And I think that's because he's the head coach and he's also the play caller. And it's very difficult in all the confusion in terms of stuff that's going on right down there to kind of manage that stuff, keep all that stuff together, and make the play call in terms of doing it. And as a result, I think stuff happens. I mean, we're supposedly trying to run the clock out at the end of the first half. We're not really trying to score. And we snapped the ball with 25 seconds left to go on the play clock. And then we run a play, we do the thing, the clock's running out. And that last play, that last sack by Kyle, to me, that kind of summed up the whole, that sums up every issue that we've had on offense and with Kyle all in one play, okay? The right tackle gets beat, and Kyle, or I shouldn't say gets beat, he really just forces the rusher to the outside. Kyle stands on his spot and doesn't have the presence to kind of shuffle up and kind of move up and kind of get out of the way. And so it's a sack. It looks bad on Josh Fryer. It set the offense back. It hurt Kyle. And it all could have been avoided by just having a better feel in the pocket and moving around and not staying on that spot, because I mean, he walked him to the outside. As a right tackle, I'm not telling you anything. If you walk your guy from the outside all the way around, your quarterback's got to step up and help you out. You can't just stand there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I live that, man. I mean, you gotta work in concert with him. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, it's so funny. Every time I see the same, and this is one of the funniest names after Pooh Beard 12. I don't know why you guys come with these names, but there was a girl I went to high school with whose nickname was Poop Breath, and it's like, oh, she was a nasty little troll. But she was definitely wasn't a Hoover prom queen. But call me crazy, but it seems like JJ has a harder time playing QB when he runs to figure out the D by himself and is not being fed the coverage precept. I totally agree with that. I think that magically he's not quite as good when he doesn't know exactly what's coming. And not to mention, the coordinator puts him in the exact play that he needs to be put in. So I don't know. I just think that, the jig's up. Now they got to come see us next year without their little magic Geppetto over there telling them the signals. But do you agree with that, Nevada? All of a sudden, Jay is not quite as good when he's not getting fed the perfect play.
Well, I mean, look, I think they were like 19-5 against the spread in conference like the last 2 years, or 18-5-1 or something like that. And they're 1-2 since this thing. And Penn State they covered, but they shouldn't have. That was just horrible. But they're 1-2 against the spread since this whole thing broke with Stallions. Is that a coincidence? I'm a gambler, man. Nothing's a coincidence when you're a gambler.
No.
When you have streaks like that. So no, I think it makes a huge difference. And look, JJ's he's not very good. I mean, let's just not beat around the bush. He's not very good. His best attribute is his running, and if you contain him and you're responsible and we force him into throwing situations, he'll turn it over, man. I promise you, he'll turn it over. Last year they knew it was coming. They knew that blitz was coming when they called that perfect play. On that first touchdown when they called it, because they knew it was coming.
Yeah,
they're not going to know what's coming this year.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit different this year. All of a sudden, they actually learn it. Casey, appreciate you, man. Scoop Ultra member, gonna get this little sweet badge. Again, we're gonna get those badges tuned up a little bit. Do you guys think that a head coach should have offensive and defensive coordinators call plays so the head coach can manage the team, or call plays like Data's? Just curious. Go Bucks. Well, I think you would prefer that you trust a guy to call the plays. Now, there's a lot of ways to do things. Again, when you've got Ryan Day, who's been a fantastic play caller in his career, and he's a little bit I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to but it's just like, I think in the perfect world it's like Urban Meyer. Urban didn't call either side, so that way he could kind of manage the whole thing, the whole team, pay attention to the whole thing. But obviously he's more of an offensive guy. But I think Nick Saban doesn't call the plays right now. Urban doesn't call the plays. Kirby Smart doesn't call the plays. So I think that's what you eventually want to progress to. But for Ryan, he has to find a guy that he actually trusts enough to take the play sheet out of his hand and let him call it. And Brian Hartline's not that yet. So, Brian's never called a play. So, I mean, maybe he did it in a few scrimmages, but not in a major nut cutting thing. And, Ryan's not going to handle the play sheet against Michigan, or a major opponent. But I don't know, Nevada. What is your thought on that? Do you think Ryan needs to, because again, that was kind of what they were progressing to, is that, hey, Brian Hartline was a play caller, but I was just like, there's just absolutely no way. Because I think Ryan's ego, and again, he's very good at it, makes him want to hold on to that. Because again, this is a critical year for him, and they've gotten to 11-0 with him calling the plays, and the offense has been good since he's been the play caller. So, what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I just think back when Ryan Day called plays for Urban Meyer as the offensive coordinator. Where did he call the plays from? That's a question. Where did he call them from?
Sideline.
And so he's comfortable doing it. And so he could do it. And it's like, if he can do it there, then do it. And I just think for some guys have a better feel for the sideline. Some guys have a better feel from the box. And it's one of those situations with Ryan where I prefer a head coach as kind of a CEO, kind of overall administrator of the entire team. But that's not who we have with Ryan. That's not who Ryan will ever be. Ryan is, he's a control freak. He loves to control every aspect of the thing. He was a quarterback. That's why he likes to do the kind of look back stuff, because he likes to envision himself standing there, making the call, seeing the defense, doing the thing. I mean, that's who he is. And so that's who we're going to get. Is it do I think it's the most effective way? I do not know. I know some people must possess the gift, but I've coached football at a much lower level, much lower level than this. I cannot imagine trying to do that stuff from the sideline, because to me, even as much football as I've watched, it's like a complete mosh of bodies to me when I watch that. And when I watch it from above, I can see everything. And so for me, it doesn't make sense, but for Ryan, it works. So there you go.
Yeah, I would like my play callers to be in the booth on offense and defense just because I've been up there with Jim Haycock, I've been up there with Tom Herman, and I just think that it's so much easier, it's so much cleaner. That's just my preference, but again, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Sean McVay's down on the sideline calling him Lincoln Riley, so it's kind of a feel thing. If your guy's a quarterback guru and that's his spot, then he probably has to be down on the field. I mean, Tom Herman was a quarterback guy, but he also trusted Zach and Drew Maringer and some of the guys that were his lieutenants to be down on the field and work with Braxton, like in 2012. So we got a ton of super chats coming in. Good Lord. Dave Mathis, I love this. When the Bucks make a good point, respond with bet. Nevada, is the bet thing the dumbest thing you've ever seen, given how this is going down?
Yeah, it's look, it was dumb on its face, and it was cringy the whole way. But when President Ono decided to put that on there, that literally was like when we're all wondering kind of like what was the low ebb, what was the spot, what was the exact. It was kind of like, remember when Fonzie, when they say jump the shark, when he did the shark episode and he jumped the shark there in the leather jacket and stuff. That's when Michigan jumped the shark, was when President Yoko Ono tweeted
Yoko
bet
Ono.
out of Yoko. Yeah, Yoko.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. Jack Huddle, we got a Sparty in here. A Spartan. Appreciate the 5, my man. Sparty fan here. I like your info. Cut through the fake scandal news. I hear up here. I know the Michigan people were so bad on this. I've never seen anything like it. Remember, we hate scum as much as you do. I know you guys do. You guys are good people up at Michigan State. Loved Mark D'Antonio. Loved a lot of Jim Bolin. A lot of the guys are up there. We know OSU will win. Appreciate you, brother. And again, we smacked them pretty good. I mean, our information crushed theirs, and those guys. I think it's gonna be just like the Ohio State Michigan game. It was like Ohio State versus Michigan on the beat, and we smoked them pretty good. I mean, we were just buying boxes of wine and just drinking it up after that, because I mean that was free money for us. Oh, my man, W Buckeye, thanks for the 10. One question I know, it's off subject a little bit, before the game last year. Michigan almost got beat by Illinois. I know that was a last second field goal, and they had that good kicker, Moody, who is with the 49ers, who drilled it. I know Corum got hurt, but wonder what Illinois was doing to screw it with Stallions. I don't know. That's a great question. I think that, Illinois' defense was really good. Their corner is, like an NFL Rookie of the Year candidate. They've got a guy who's a first-round pick at D tackle this year. He's a real good player. I don't know, and I honestly think Michigan was looking ahead a little bit to the Bucks. So, but I think that's part of the deal. Nevada, got another one. Gabe Carter, thanks for the 5, my man. At 75 yards to the house. Herman Hendy strikes again. I mean, that's the last time we're going to see Trey in the shoe in Nevada. How good is that guy?
Boy, I mean, I'll probably get flamed for this, but I think he is right up there with anybody who's ever played here. I mean, he's that good. In terms of physical ability, in terms of having that breakaway gear that you're always looking for, because there's not many running backs that have had that at Ohio State, and not many players. I mean, frankly, Trey to me kind of goes in the same categories like a Teddy Ginn, in terms of if you give him one step and he breaks away, ain't anybody going to catch him, and he's gone. But when Trey runs at the combine, I guarantee you he is sub 4.4. I will take any action from anybody on Trey Henderson going sub 4.4 at the combine. I mean, he's got big time jets. He's got incredible ability. He's just a pleasure to watch, man. And him being gone, it makes me sad, because he was injured for some games, and we missed seeing him. Some of the sheer dominance. But look, it's next man up. But I'm gonna miss Trey a lot for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something beautiful about like the track stars, like these track stars, because again, they got that home run gear, and it's like even like when they can get to that gear and hit those 75 yarders, those things are amazing. But it never gets old. I mean, when you're anyone on the offense and you see a guy take it to the crib like that, it just changes. It electrifies the stadium. It electrifies the defense that's sitting there watching it. It's exciting. And again, like none of the other guys can do that. So I know everybody, like there are people that said Mayan was better and Dallin Hayden was better. And again, I just wish they'd listen to us, because we're right literally all the time about talent evaluation. And something like Trey Henderson was like, it was so clear, and yet we were the only ones that saw it. Sometimes I feel like I'm in like some alternate dimension. Todd, appreciate the 5, my man. Hey, Kirk, in Nevada, it's 6. Oh, you're in is that Mountain Standard Time? Wait for it. That cheater, the cheaters up north still suck. I saw them getting the TCUN. Kirk, why would you insult douchebags by comparing them to the cheating team up north? I mean, it is tough. Again, Michigan is very very hated around these parts. Again, I think that it's going to be exciting. Again, I think that these guys are just chomping at the bit because this is going to be a real one. Gabriel Carter, again, appreciate it, my man. Thank you for the 5. Do either one of you have any concerns about Carson Hinsman against the team at North Front next week? He's been playing well, but he seems like the weak link. I mean, I don't have any concerns, but I think that they do have 2 monster D tackles. They have a 340 guy who's he's as fat as some of the girls at the 20-year reunion from high school. He's a moose, and I'm just telling you, like, you got to be able to move that guy and hang in there. And I don't think it's some accident that they're repping Matt Jones at center all of a sudden and trying out Enoch at guard, just in case Carson does struggle against it. But I can't imagine them switching anything up when for 11 games, we started the same 5. So, you're not going to switch it up for the Michigan game, especially when they've been good. And we just dominated a team. They're not great, but I mean, they're 5-6. I mean, it's not like they're 0-11 or 0-10 coming into the game. So they've won 5 games. So, I think Carson will be fine. Again, he needs to get stronger. He knows that, but he's also young. He's only a second-year guy. So, these guys aren't grown men yet. And, they just got to stay in the weight room and keep eating a lot of burritos. J-Wash Trucking LLC, appreciate the 10, my man. Still would like to see 3 linebackers on the field more. Also, can't wait to see Jay Harbaugh walk the plank. I think you're going to see it a little bit pending Tommy's health. As long as Tommy's ready to go, you're going to see Steele, Cody, Tommy a lot. I think that the big thing is now you have Proctor and Sonny back at safety. And so, I mean, you have 2 absolute game wreckers at safety. I mean, you got 2 guys that if you come across the middle, you might be leaving in an ambulance because those guys, if they get a hold of you, it's going to be like a really, really bad day. But I think that, again, I love Lathan Ransom, and it was heartbreaking watching him limp across the field for senior day today because he's in a big boot and all that. But, Sonny is a different animal. So you put him out there, 6'4" monster. I just love it. Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? More 3 linebackers versus Michigan?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to do it. Like you said, you've got the Sonny Josh, experience back there, and that's kind of, those guys are both like linebackers. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're going to, see a healthy rotation between Steele and Tommy and Cody Simon. So I don't know if we'll see 3, but it's. I think what the great matchup is going to be. If Ohio State going to go man on the outside and just take those guys away and just load up the box and just spy on McCarthy and just dare them to throw against us, and because as I've watched Michigan play and when I watched them struggle, that's when they struggled, is when teams have done that because they just don't. Their best receiving option is their tight end. Their tight end is that's his Wooby, that's his security blanket, that's what he likes to go to. But we have guys that can cover those guys, and we have ball hawking defensive backs and. It's funny how our defensive backfield went from a liability to just an unbelievable team strength in 1 year. And, part of that's good fortune, part of that's development, part of that's getting Davison, from Ole Miss because, you have a ready-made starter to step in and brought some attitude, brought some ball hawking. And, boy, how about Jordan Hancock? How good has he gotten this year?
Yeah.
I mean, he went from a guy last year that could barely play. I mean, he was just barely capable last year. And this year, it just looks absolutely fantastic out there. So no, it's going to be a fun matchup. I think it's a great matchup for Ohio State, and I love it across the board. I think this is such a favorable matchup for Ohio State that I mean, I would hate to play a truly multiple team that could run and pass equally well against us because I think those are just incredibly difficult to defend. I don't think this one's particularly difficult to defend. I do think the game will be low scoring though. I'm leaning towards the under next week. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but I think Michigan's going to really struggle to put the end zone against us.
I totally agree. Spook Jr., appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 5. What defensive scum player or unit concerns you the most? And did you notice that scum had clowns holding up flags, covering up the Southern Herald? That was really weird. I've never seen that. Like when the little sky cam comes over the huddle, they were like holding flags up over it. I mean, that's like progressively weird. Again, like they're not gonna like what are they gonna like lip read you during the commercial. Like I mean, nothing really that important gets said in the huddle. Coming out of a timeout or whenever they're doing that. So that might be a little much. Again, that might be I think deflecting. I think their D tackles are good. They're a factor. You got to keep grinding along. So I think that you got to block those guys. Again, like Matt Jones has been a war daddy. Donnie Jackson's been getting better and better. I think Carson's playing better. But really, I'm not really scared of anybody. Like, are you scared of any of these guys, Nevada?
No, like you said, I think their defensive tackles are best, but you got to neutralize that. Good Ryan has just got to run away from those guys. Like, don't
Yeah.
run into the teeth of the defense. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to do it. This isn't a battle of who's tougher or show them, we'll do that. Just man, use that orbit motion. Threaten the team, horizontally, and just kind of keep stretching the defense and moving stuff around. And I think that's the secret to success. Don't just go right at their team strength. With what for us, I mean, now our offensive line's been playing really well as of late, but I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Carson does better when we're on the move. The whole offense moves better when
Yeah.
we're on the move. So
Yeah.
let's play to our team strengths and don't go to our weaknesses.
Well, I mean, I think like when you've got a guy who's a finesse guy like Carson, and again, that's not me. I'm not denigrating him, but he is a lighter guy. He's a quick guy. It's better when you move. I'm going to break down some plays here in a second once I get a couple more super chats done. But yeah, I think that you just gotta when they get those big fat guys out there, those 340s, get out on the edge. Don't run at the A gap. Get out on the edge. And we ran the buck sweep today, which is my favorite play in all of football. Pull both guards. I'm going to break that down. It's literally it was the first play of the game, and it was a beautiful play. Larry Daniels, thanks for the 4 and a Scoop Ultra. Appreciate you, my man. You guys that are considering supporting the channel, Scoop Ultra is a great way to do that. Again, we're gonna have our Scoop Ultra chats. It's gonna be really fantastic. So I'm excited to see some of the new stuff we're gonna be rolling out over the year. Again, this is not gonna stop after the season's up, guys, because we are gonna be cranking some great content, and we appreciate you guys kicking it with us. I see 24,000 subscribers. Are we ready for the Nevada Buck reveal? Question mark. Great job, guys. Appreciate you, man. The Cheaters up north looked kind of vanilla. It's been a wild ride. It's been a fantastic month for us, the biggest month in the history of Buckeye Scoop across all boards, breaking every record known to man. So we appreciate you guys so much. Nevada, are you ready for the big reveal? I am, because I got me a sweet old, I even got me a mask. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to wear a mask and you're going to get revealed. It's going to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, the Nevada Buck reveal on the 25,000 subscriber. There'll be a Nevada Buck. The Nevada Buck camera will go live at the end of the 25,000 show. So it's going to be a very exciting time.
Oh yeah, to me it's just like it's unbelievable because it's basically like we're cranking, but we love doing it. It's because of you guys. You guys give us these great questions. You guys give us great comments, great feedback, and it really helps us tune the show up. So keep the super chats coming, guys. I'm gonna get in the film room real quick. First play of the game. Again, this is good, Ryan. We had some bad Ryan tonight. This is good, Ryan. You get a little motion with G. Scott. You get the buck sweep. This is Maslin Perry football right here, which is like this is our first play for 20 straight years. We pull the center instead of the backside guard. Really, it just depends on where this guy is. But the center's getting out, so you get the buck sweep coming right here. And this has become kind of an in vogue play. And again, I think that Carson, if I was coaching this, I'd want him to throw right here. I'd want him to cut that guy's knee. Because if you cut that guy's knee, we're going to the crib right here. But he doesn't get enough of them. It kind of bumbles along with Trey. But I like the eye candy. Like I like G flexing out in motion. This is kind of the cheat motion everyone's doing now, where it looks like he's kind of bowing a little bit, and it looks like it could be a bubble. I mean, you could pull that and throw a bubble, and you could probably get a little bit of money there. But again, I like when the safeties, like this guy has to look at this, and then you got it coming back this way. I just think it's harder to defend. It's tougher on the linebackers. Donnie, I think Donnie's getting better. Carson, if Carson throws here and cuts that guy and he's out of the picture, this thing might be going to the crib. But it could be cleaner. But again, it's still, as much as I'm saying whatever, like this is still 14 yards on first down. So, again, these are the kind of plays against Michigan that I love because, their two best players are that guy and that guy. So when you get it out here and you stretch it out a little bit, um, it's just good. Like this is like Trey Henderson because Trey, again, if you get that guy out of the picture, he's gone. That's why I love this play because when you get Trey out in space and you're not running up in the A gap, he has less chance to get hurt and he has a lot of a chance to go home run Henderson. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it was a great, but that whole first series was, I mean, we could break down every single play, and there wasn't, it was just magical. We just kind of cut right down
Yeah.
the field. They'd obviously worked on that stuff. It was obviously part of the play script. Um, and we didn't just get good Ryan. We got excellent Ryan that whole time, and that was fun. But then alas, he went away for a little while, and the rest of the first half was a little bit of a struggle. But come
Oh
back,
God.
Ryan. Yeah, it's kind of like the end of Shane. Remember Shane? Like, come back, Shane. Come back.
Oh
We need that. Come back, good Ryan. We need you to
yeah.
call the plays,
Oh,
please.
it was painful because like I watched that first drive and I like honestly like I went in and poured me some cocoa and I was like this is about to be 77 rip because like he just had it dialed in perfectly. Again, this is the same series. We're gonna go to the next. This is a little bit further down the field, but it's the same drive. I mean, this is the stuff that I love. So you got a play action or a little play pass. It's like a play action with a toss. You're going three into the boundary, which is hard. So when you run three into the boundary, like so the boundary is the short side of the field. This is the short side of the field. So, you've got your three receivers over here. So you got to roll all this coverage over here. And then you probably put Marvin. I'm guessing Marvin's up here. He's not on the screen, but Marvin's up at the top. So they got to shift all their coverage over to these three guys over here. You got Mac, you've got Cade, you've got Julian Fleming, and then you've got Trey. And you do this little fake toss right here. Or, excuse me, that's Chip. And does a good job of selling it. It is the big crazy pump fake, and he puts his hands up like he's getting the toss. So these linebackers got to look at that. And then all of a sudden you've got Cade. This is great. So Cade is doing like a delay fake block deal here, where he just kind of stutter steps, and this guy is thinking block pitch. I gotta get off this blocking. I'll make the play. So Cade touches him for a second, then he releases. So this guy is in like heck because he can't figure out. Okay, do I go get Chip? Oh, he doesn't have the ball, and by the time he figures that out, Cade's released, and it's just free money. I mean, I wish this was. I mean, if this is a better throw, I mean, this is. No, Cade's not exactly. I mean, he's not Usain Bolt or anything, but I mean, he could do a little bit more with this if it was a better throw. But again, like that is hard to defend. Like again, you got all that action. Again, when you can do, one of my favorite parts with play action, and this is something that Urban loved, was a pull guard. So when you pull a guard, like 99% of the time, it's a run. But there's that 1% when we run, what Florida used to call lake and water, and you pull this guy, all of a sudden, these guys have to honor the pull and play the run and think it's a pitch. And this is great for Matt because he can set up here, pick up whatever leaks. And again, look at the pocket. The pocket is absolute perfection. Kyle's got to throw a better throw than that, but like those are the kind of plays I love because it's just so easy. It's like free money. That's good Ryan. Like we need good Ryan next week for the love of God. But what are your thoughts on that? Again, like it's weird when he gets into these modes, and then of course the next play is a Trey touchdown. But your thoughts on that? Because again, when he's on it, he's excellent. He's as good as there's ever been. And then there's sometimes where you're just like, did somebody like steal his headset?
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly he's a rhythm play caller, and he's one of those
Mm-hmm.
guys. With Ryan, like if you can get that first down, and he's kind of got the thing kind of going, and then he feels like he's got the mojo, and when he can't, that's where he struggles. Is getting that first one. Once he can get that first one, he's off the races. But those first play calls for him are tough, unless it's the first series of the game when he's kind of got the script and he's kind of ready to go and they've got it all there. But man, if it's close to the goal line, he is just scared to death to do that. And that's just a fact. I mean, that's not being mean. That's not being negative. And that's not saying I want anybody else other than Ryan Day as our head coach or calling our plays. But boy, we can all see it. And you guys, you can just feel it. You watch the plays and you're like, man, it feels like it's a different guy out there in terms of doing it. Um, I just hope he lets it all hang out against Michigan. I really think the only way that we can lose against Michigan is to be too conservative, to be too careful and to be too, like, don't be afraid to win. Let's go up there and win. Let's try to go up there and hang 100 on them and just let the chips fall where they may. We're better athletes than those guys are. We've got better skill players. Let's just go be better and not worry about, trying to play it safe against Michigan. We don't need to play it safe.
Totally agree. Gabriel Carter, appreciate you, brother. You're in here all the time. You're one of our best members, one of our best regulars. Thank you for the 5, my man. Nevada Buck, you should make your quarterback drop logo into a flag and use that for the big reveal and use it as a backdrop for every live stream. We could do that. I mean, hey, we could do whatever we need to do. But again, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, we're almost at 25,000, so tell your friends or get there a little bit quicker. This is the Trey touchdown. Again, good Ryan, full display here. Again, the good thing about G, G can flex in here. He's going to be our starting tight end next year with Cade moving on. They run the little counter play. Again, this is tough, but you got to wrap him. And then G's got to kind of pick up the trash. And again, this is the thing about, Trey, like this, there's a guy that's unblocked in the hole. But when you're Trey and you're just electricity, I mean, this is all Trey, really. I mean, this shouldn't work like this. But because Trey is who Trey is, he hits this jump cut, which most backs can't hit, and he basically breaks this guy's ankles in half. So watch the guy's ankles. It's like he's on ice because Trey's so good. Line does a good job down blocking here. I wish that he'd get a little bit lower at left tackle, but otherwise, like, this is just easy money. Trey hits that move and it's just touchdown. Again, this is why he's the best running back in America, folks. You guys are going to miss him when he's gone. Nevada, could Trey go on a run like we've seen in the playoffs with like Trey Sermon, Ezekiel? Because like that's how I feel like he's peaking right now. I feel like he's the guy. He's the X factor for that Michigan game. I think he's got to have that Beanie Wells type performance, that Ezekiel type performance. What's your thought?
Well, I mean, go to that touchdown run that he had at the beginning of the second half. That wasn't particularly well blocked up. That wasn't like, Trey just ran through the giant hole and went there. It's like, I mean, he's Brandon Sane. All he can do is straight line speed. I mean,
my God.
that wasn't even particularly well blocked up, and he went out there and just housed it. So can he go on a run? Absolutely. I expect it. I really do. Especially if teams are going to play us with 2 high safeties, then they are begging us to run. And if they beg us to run, let's oblige them and let's do it because, I mean, Trey is a threat every time you give him the ball. But that touchdown run today, I mean, there wasn't much there, and he turned it into an easy score. And that's just magic when you have a back that can do that.
Totally agree. I mean, again, that's why he's a first round pick. That's why he's Bijan. He's a Bijan type guy. Bijan Robinson. Dave Mathis, thanks for the deuce. Appreciate you. Emeka was wide open. Why not throw that one deep? I don't know. I mean, I think that Kyle's first read was probably Cade, and he came open and he dumped it, and it was free money. So, again, but I'm all about throwing it deep to Emeka a little bit and getting the top off the game. I think next week's going to be an Emeka game. I think Emeka's going to have his big moment against Michigan because, their top corner is good. I don't think he's good enough to check Marvin the whole game, but, I think Emeka's going to have to really step up. Eric Moore, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. Hey, love your podcast. You think Ryan Day has a special book of plays designed for Michigan that no one outside the team has seen? Well, I know what Tress did. I know what Urban did. I mean, they always have like kind of an archive of plays that usually what you do is you go through, I'm sure he'll watch every game of everyone that Michigan's played, but the games that you really study are teams that run similar offenses to yours. So, you look for teams that are in the 3 wide look. I bet they'll watch. I mean, obviously they'll watch Maryland. It's the most recent game. But you really look at the teams that run the most similar offenses to see what type of coverage you're getting. Obviously, you watch last year's game because it's the same coordinators. So it's last year's game is a great one to study. Obviously, they're cheating and they're whatever. But I think that it's important to study the Maryland game. I think it'll be a great tell just because of the offense they run. It's very similar to what we do. So it'll be interesting to see what they pull because a lot of times teams, if they install a play or two, it's plays that have hurt Michigan. It's like a play, if Maryland had a really good concept that they couldn't check or it busted loose or they had trouble covering it, like there's no reason not to steal that. I mean, again, that's the thing about football is if you have problems with something on offense or defense in football, you can bet your life the next week that the team you're going against is going to use it. If Michigan, like if for some reason like Minnesota like got us with like the same blitz 2 or 3 times today, you can best believe Michigan's gonna like install that and try to run that because obviously like we can't handle it. So, what do you think of that? I mean, I know Ryan's got archives of plays, but I think that like for Michigan, Tress always has some stuff in the back pocket, but a lot of it is just studying them week to week. Again, Ryan knows what this Michigan means. I'm sure he's watched their all 22 film every week of their previous opponent. He's taking it at lunch and burn through it real quick and see what you can find. But what do you think? You think we're going to see some special stuff? Because Tress always had great stuff ready to go for Michigan. Again, the '06 game, I mean, he was virtuoso performance in terms of some of the plays that we called that we literally never ran before or since. We ran like one time in a Michigan game. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean Tressel with the wheel route to Maurice Claret in
Yeah.
that big game, and
Mm-hmm.
then the quarterback option to the short side. They hadn't run that the whole year and got the touchdown. And now, look, we've got plenty of plays. It's just a question of whether or not Ryan's going to call them. You know what I'm saying? And that's anybody's
Yeah.
bet because they practice this stuff all week and they've been doing it all year long. And we've got plenty of stuff to go. I love the eye candy. I love the stuff with the misdirection. And if Ryan would just come out and just fully commit to that, because when we do that, it's like, I just don't know how you stop us. I mean, how do you stop an offense that's got Emeka and Marvin and Trey and Cade and Julian and Carnell? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just like, there's just too many guys. And, when we've stopped ourselves even today, it's when McCord you miss guys, and that's okay. That happened. You can't automatically look out and find every guy, but man, there was the one time where they blitzed off the edge, and Marvin was out there, and he was running all by himself out there, and he went down the middle to Mecca because he kind of made up his mind that was the read. But no, we have guys open on almost every play. It's just a question of can we find them? Can we give Kyle time to kind of work through the progressions, which I thought he did a nice job today doing. And like I said, so if you pray for anything with Ryan next week, let's pray that good Ryan comes out and is willing to commit to a offensive calling the games like he's got nothing to lose like he did against Georgia last year, because that's the way we need to play it.
I totally agree. I think that that's something that's really important. And I think that Ryan is, this is going to be, I mean, as big of a game as he's ever coached. I know the Georgia game was huge last year. Hang on, I'm grabbing a quick photo. I got to send this to the crew. But I just think you've got like such an opportunity to really put it on these guys. And I gotta break down a couple of these defensive plays because Jack Sawyer was magnificent today, just absolutely terrorizing. Here's a tackle for loss. But again, something that I think is, I don't want to say it's an addition by subtraction, because I love Lathan Ransom. I think he's one of the great kids on the team. He's a fantastic player, but his injury has emerged and made Sonny Styles our strong safety. You got Proc back, you're playing free. And again, this is, this kind of stuff is like the stuff Michigan does. They might bring in an extra lineman, but you got the big tight end. They're running, a pretty simple zone play here. But the way like Sonny, who's playing strong safety now back here, can come down in the box and attack. And then you've got Ty Hamilton in here playing great. Ty Lee, Jack. I mean, you got every gap sealed. Seal Chambers downhill. Something. Now I know Minnesota's not. They're not Michigan, obviously. I get that. But the way that, look how gap sound we are. Every gap taken, fulfilled. Jack's up the backside edge. And again, this is about Tommy. I mean, Tommy's our best player on defense. But I mean, Jack was the best player we had today. So here is Jack. He's a free hitter. Him and Steele clean it up. Tackle for loss. I just think, dude, when you've got Proctor and Sonny back there, I mean, talk about like a tandem to stop the run. Like, holy cow. You have the biggest strong safety in Ohio State history, and you have, Proc, who, can literally kill anybody with a hit because he's that physical, he's that explosive, playing at a really high level. I love that. But Nevada, talk a little bit about our safeties filling in the run and how good you feel with Sonny being in the game over Lathan. And I love Lathan, but Sonny's a freak of nature. And again, if you're saying, hey, we're playing a running team, and I can put a 6'4", 220-pound like strong safety in who can run a 4.4, like that's good for us. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's just it's always a game of matchups, and if you're going to get into a run heavy against a run heavy team that likes to work to the tight end, look, having two big hitters back there at safety and free safety, it's like the Legion of Boom used to have when they'd have Thomas and Cam Chancellor back there, run around knocking people's heads off. Like that's what you want. And I think
Yeah.
for us, as good as Lathan is, and I love Lathan, I love me some Lathan Ransom. For this particular matchup, we're probably better. We're probably better with Proctor and Styles back there, and I think that could be certainly the X factor on defense.
Yeah, I love, again, sometimes, and this isn't a Jim Knowles thing. This is literally any football coach in history. Like when you have a guy who's a really good player like Lathan and he does everything right, and he's a more senior guy. He's out there at senior day. It's heartbreaking watching him across the field in a boot, like gipping very badly. It's hard to maybe sub him out when he does everything right for Sonny. Because Sonny's like the young pup. He's the age of a true freshman, even though he's a true sophomore because he reclassified. But when someone gets hurt, you don't have a choice. Like you got to put Sonny in. You can't. You don't have to worry about rotating guys or whatever. So, but I think Sonny is like one of those guys that as we head to Ann Arbor and as we get into the playoffs, like that kid is going to go absolutely gangbusters. I think. I mean, he's just a different animal, dude. I'm telling you. And I love watching him. I love this. Karis Washington, Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining Scoop Ultra. Baby Lemon with pom poms in his hands, cheerleading. I love that. It's great. It's a great image. I hate Michigan. I hate their cheerleaders. I hate their pom poms. I hate it all. Lee, thank you for the deuce. The cheaters up north are awfully quiet in the chat tonight. I think they're all dead. I think that they all know it's coming. It's like this is like kind of like when you got the big bad wolf coming, and the big bad wolf's about to be coming to Ann Arbor, and I'm excited about it. So appreciate that deuce. Thank you, Lee. Jack Tremaine, super chat. Thank you for the deuce. Bucks over under plus 3.5. Nevada. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that's talking about the Michigan
Spread.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm taking Ohio State on the money line. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win the game. Um, I think it's an undereat type of game. But I would take Ohio State on the money line. I'd take Ohio State plus the points, and I would take the under on the game. But I think Michigan is really. I'm telling you, they're going to really struggle to move the ball against this defense. And this defense is so freaking good. And
Yeah.
you look at what we're doing in terms of yards per play, what we're doing on third down, what we're doing points per game. I mean, it's crazy how well we played considering the schedule we played. Because I think us and Michigan have given up virtually the same number of points. I think we might have given up 3 more points on Michigan. But like, look at the schedule, and we played real teams in real situations, and I just think we're battle tested. We're ready to go, and we're playing our best football of the year. We're not coming into this game limping in. We're not coming to this game on an emotional, down note. We're not coming in, completely banged up and missing key guys. We're as healthy as we've been all year, and we're playing our best football by far. Yeah, on the offense, the 2 areas that we were concerned about were offensive line and defensive ends, and those both were unbelievable team strength today. So I love the matchup and can't wait to get it on.
Yeah, like I said, you can feel the energy in the team. You can feel the peak. We haven't peaked, and that's kind of what I'm excited about. Is these guys know what it is. I mean, this is a real one. And again, they've had 2 years of getting beaten down by everybody. National people, Desmond Howard, local people. So they got a real shot here, and I'm really excited about it. I think these guys are going to go up there and handle that business and stand on business. Go Bucks 33. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the live. Love the pod. Appreciate you, my man. Here in SEC country, what part of SEC country? We have a lot of people in SEC country. Some of our best people are from Alabama. The Cocan family, they're huge. They're Buckeye Scoop supporters, 4-Star Freightliner, big sponsors of ours. So we appreciate all you guys down in Bama, Georgia, Florida, in the South through SEC country. We're trying to hold it down for you guys. So you guys can always find us. I know you guys got a lot of Buckeye coverage down there, but we're always here for you. Here in SEC country, but love to rep the Bucks against the delusional Vols fans. So Tennessee, obviously, that's a beautiful part of the country. We got to have a scoop meet up in Nashville, Nevada. I know you're down with that. What's y'all's breakdown on Michigan without Jim Harbaugh? So I'll take this first. I think that it's a devastating loss to lose Jim Harbaugh. Now I think that they're still very capable. We got to bring our A game and eat our Wheaties. But that being said, Sherrod Moore is an interesting cat because he's the offensive line coach, he's the offensive coordinator, and now he's also the head coach. So in the perfect world, if me and Nevada Buck were building our perfect coaching staff, that would be three different people. It wouldn't be uh one guy, let alone, I mean, I would want a standalone offensive line coach. Again, think back to the Ed Warner deal in 2015 when we had the most talented team ever we lost. Like when they promoted Ed, which Urban wanted to do because he'd done a good job on the O line. I was worried about that because again, I've been an offensive line guy, an offensive line coach at Ohio State as a grad assistant, and when you're with the O line, you're not a part of the passing game. Like when they go 7-on-7 and pass scaling, that type of stuff, which is it's a big drill. It's called pass skeleton, where it's literally just 7-on-7. There's no linemen involved. The offensive line are down at the other end of the field doing one-on-one pass rush. So it's like, I did that as a player, did as a coach. So like you go against the defensive end, or the guards go against the D tackles, and you get a lot of reps at that. And then you work on picking up stunts and twists and that type of thing. So, it's hard to really have a deep handle on the passing game when you're not part of it, because you're not part. Ed Warner, he's down at one-on-one pass rush. When you're in 7-on-7 and you're installing plays and you're doing that type of thing, it's hard because like you don't get to see what the quarterback likes. When you're putting in a new play and you run it against the defense in 7-on-7, you have no idea how it went because you're literally down at the other end of the field coaching the offensive line. So again, I thought that was going to be a disaster. I was right about it being a disaster. Again, at Michigan, they've been a run-heavy team. So, Sherrod Moore, I'm sure he's getting helped in the passing game by Jay Harbaugh, who's a tight ends coach, or whoever. But, in my perfect world, the offensive coordinator would be the quarterback's coach. And then you have your own head coach, and then you have your own line coach. But right now, he's got three hats on, man, and that is really hard to do. And honestly, I don't think he's good enough to do it. So, they look discombobulated today. I think that, you want that head coach is always the guy everyone looks to when you're it's Vietnam and there's napalm everywhere and it's nasty and dirty and you're up at Ann Arbor and it's crazy. So, when we had Trust to look at, he's like the ultimate calming influence. Like he'd get us cranked up and he'd know exactly what to say and how to manage the game and manage the coaches, manage the players. Like there's a lot of management when you're that guy. Urban could get us gassed up. He was awesome. Ryan Day's done a great job. So to lose one of those guys and then have like Brian Hartline be the head coach or Jim Knowles be the head coach, guys that have never been head coaches before at this kind of a level. I know Jim Knowles is head coach at Cornell, but this ain't Cornell. This is Ohio State. So I think it's tough. But Nevada, I would love your thoughts on that because I think that's a fantastic question. Again, that is why I love this show because you guys ask great questions like that. So thank you so much, Go Bucks 33. Thanks for holding us down in SEC country.
Well, I don't know if this is really on topic, but I just got this text from one of my best sources that said, look for some news on NCAA/big further sanctions against Michigan. I don't know what that means, but I literally just got that text as we're talking with the viewers. So I'm gonna share that in real time. So I think there's more to come. I think there's more to come for Michigan. And it could happen the week of the Ohio State game, which is kind of super awesome.
No, I love it. I hope that the hammer of God drops on those guys. Poohbeard12, appreciate you. The penalty call for the posing Sully was amazing. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I think that sometimes you should let these kids have a little bit more fun, have some more personality, but there is a line with taunting, but I'd let that one go. Gabriel Carter, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Kirk, how twisted you going to be when we're next week? Well, it is a noon game, so I won't be quite as lit as I was after Notre Dame. After Notre Dame, full disclosure, apologize to anybody that, sorry for partying, but I did, I had my family down. It was a nice day out. We swam all day, did a little drinking. Then, we're watching this game, and me and Nevada are texting. We probably texted 6,000 times during that game. Like, are we going to lose this game? Are we really going to choke this thing out versus and I knew Notre Dame wasn't that good, but they were an inch away from beating us, and they only had 10 guys on the field. So, was I a little lit? Yes, I was. Do I apologize for that? Yes, I do. But, I like to, now that we're really getting a lot of traction on these post-game shows, like, I got to be locked in, guys. Like, I got to bring the heat for you guys. So, I probably won't do it. If they win after I'm done and off the air, I'm absolutely going to have me some cold beers. But during it, no, I gotta bring the heat for you guys. I got to break film down. I got to be ready to go for you guys. So I appreciate you guys because I'm telling you, we won that one. We're going to be smoking some cigars. I promise you. Todd, appreciate the 5, brother, as always. I love the Deadpool thing. That's great. After we win it next week, all you will hear from the Cheaters up north is free Connor. Do you think Kyle hears footsteps and doesn't give the downfield less clear? I don't know. I mean, I think, if we really wanted to be, hard on Kyle, which I don't want to be, because I think he's done a really good job as a first year guy. Again, it's hard to be compared to any quarterback nowadays at Ohio State when the last three have been Haskins, Fields, and Stroud, who've been top 15 picks and just dominant forces. Their final years of college, they're as good as any 3 years in the history of Ohio State. So that's tough to walk into. If I had to be critical of Kyle, I think that his pocket feel needs to get a lot better. Like his spider senses have got a little bit better to step up and help his tackles. And I think he can be inconsistent when, frankly, everything's perfect. Like we broke down the one throw where the pocket was perfect, everything's perfect, and he threw it behind Cade. And Cade made a great catch, but if he puts that thing on the money, then Cade can actually go do something with it and make some yards. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada? What can Kyle McCord improve on leading into the Michigan game?
Well, he's just got to. I mean, look, he's got to clean up his footwork and he's got to work on his pocket presence. But look, I for one am very pleased with Kyle McCord for this year. I think he's been a pleasant surprise. Frankly, he's been better than I thought he would be. And he's made throws I did not think that he could. And he's been clutch in a way that I never dreamed had the ability to do. So for me, relative, they always say disappointment's a function of expectation.
Yes.
He has exceeded my expectations for this season. So I'm pleased with him. Maybe that makes me a homer. Maybe that makes me blind. But I don't get the Honda McCord stuff, and I don't get all that because I think he's been good. Yeah. And is he Justin Fields or is he C.J. Stroud? Well, no, but he's a really good college quarterback that still has eligibility left, and I'm glad we have him. I mean, for me personally, I think he can be terrific, and I think is he capable of going up there and having a big game? No question. And why do I say that? Because he's been so darn good in clutch situations all year. He's been so darn good in the second half of games. He's been terrific, and I think he'll continue to be terrific.
Well, I just think that, again, the bar, CJ Stroud was really good, but I mean, this year in the NFL, he's literally like in the talks to win the MVP, which is insane for a guy who's a third-year guy out of the league and a rookie on, a team that was terrible last year, the Houston Texans. Like, to be in the conversation for MVP, like, he was like outer-worldly good. And also, I think CJ, frankly, had a better supporting cast than Kyle has. I mean, he's got a better line for sure. Paris Johnson, DeJuan, like you can't argue that one. And, I think that the running backs were a push with Trey, whatever. But, receiver wise, I mean, he had, Garrett and Olave. Then he had, Jackson for a couple games. He still had Marvin and Mecca. So it was kind of a push. But I don't know. I just think that, Kyle's done really well. Like, I think, and again, I am completely agnostic. I don't care who the quarterback is, but he's managed the game well. He's improved. And again, it's hard to not improve when Ryan Day is your coach because Ryan Day is unbelievably hard on his quarterbacks. Like it is not like some comfortable, like, hey, do you want to come in and have an ice cream sundae and we'll watch some film? It's like, no, like Ryan is like, he puts the screws on these guys now. And I mean, I've heard stories and you probably know who I heard them from, but I mean, he'll let these guys up. And again, I'm good with that. Like, I mean, I like, pressure burst pipes. And when you get these guys, turned into diamonds because of the pressure, like, none of these guys are mad that they get yelled at by Ryan. Like Justin Fields ain't mad. CJ Stroud ain't mad. I mean, those guys are paid. They're hardened. They're ready to play in the NFL because of how Ryan coaches. And again, I think it's not an accident that Kyle's gotten much better as the season has gone on. How much Arbaugh? Okay, Dave, appreciate you. Thank you for the 5, my man. How much impact does Harbaugh have during halftime since he isn't on the field during the game? Well, I don't think he's gonna be allowed to communicate with the team. I don't think he'll have any impact at halftime, but I could be wrong. Halftime. There's always this big thing about halftime adjustments. So it's kind of like one of the hocus pocus things about football is, oh, we got to go make halftime adjustments. I'm like, guys, like as soon as the game starts, we're making adjustments. Like we're not gonna wait till halftime to fix something or fix a coverage or change a coverage or get out of a play or, hey, don't run that again because of what they're doing against this formation. Like we're fixing stuff immediately. It's not like you don't wait for like, half your house to fall apart to start fixing it. Like something breaks, you just go fix it. So, but I think that, rallying the team, getting everything coordinated, talking to both sides, the offense and defense is important. But again, that's why you need a big time head coach, because he's got to organize everything, and he's got to be, the buck stops with him. So I think that it's really important. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, look, I think that a head coach like that he just has a calming influence on his team, and just him not being there is that's going to be a sense of loss for Michigan. No, he's not going to be able to have any contact with them during the game, or have any input, during a halftime type of situation. And I think, for me, Michigan's looked different since he's been gone, and I think they'll look different next week. And I think it's an advantage. It's just a question. We've talked about this before. It's just a question of how much. Is it 1%? Is it 0.1%? Is it 10%? But it's greater than zero. And if you had to have to pick how you want to do it, this is not how you would choose it. You wouldn't choose it with all these distractions. You wouldn't choose it that he could be there during the week and not there during the games. This is it's the ultimate less than optimal situation for Michigan. But that they made their bed. Now they got to lay down in it. So sucks for them.
No, I totally agree. Buckeye, I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. What's the line on how many more coaches the cheaters up north lose before the game next week? Well, I'm surprised Jay Harbaugh. It's funny because like some of these guys like loved Connor Stalions, and he's like the Patridge guy, the linebacker coach. I mean, he got whacked yesterday unceremoniously because he's trying to get stuff covered up, and again, like, you can't do that when there's 100 kids on the team, 130 kids on the team, 85 scholarship guys and interns and video guys and the top 10 coaches that are the full-time coaches. Like, it's just too obvious. And so that's why, I think they're all going to be gone. I think they're all going to get whacked. But do you think anyone else is going to get whacked this week, Nevada?
I think it's conceivable. I think it's conceivable. And I said just literally on the strength of the last text I got. But timing this stuff is tough. But ultimately, people have to understand Michigan's strategy up until now, when the NCAA was on campus, was been don't cooperate, and it's actually gotten to the point where their coaches are telling the players to not cooperate, not share information. I mean, that's the context in which the NCAA is going to be handing down the penalties and the ultimate sanctions to this program. That this was the program that literally thumbed their nose at the NCAA, thumbed their nose at the big, and said, we're not even going to cooperate. We're not even going to share information. We're not going to tell you what we know. That goes for Connor Stallions. That goes for Partridge. That goes for players. They're literally just saying, well, now, like, they think this is just going to go away. And it's just not. It's like a lodestone. It's going to drag them down to the bottom of the ocean. And the smart Michigan fans, and there are a few of those, are figuring that out. And, you see that, and they realize that it's Harbaugh, the one that kind of brought them to this spot. And it's all of this is their own doing. And they made their bed. Now it's time. The bill, it's closing time at some point, man. You got to pay the bill. Now it's time to pay the bill.
It's an expensive bill, too. The Falsey, thanks for the deuce, brother. If you have a question, send that in. I'll try to snag that. Deborah, thanks for the 10. How much will the sheer hatred coming from our guys in that stadium affect them? For me, the Buckeyes have to win at their back. Talent runs deep. They have this, but it will be brutal. Again, I've gone up there twice. I've won twice as a player. It is absolutely exhilarating, but man, there's nothing in the universe like running onto that field, as a Buckeye, like running into Ann Arbor. Like I always tell people think I'm crazy, and it's probably 'cause I am, but when you get to be the bad guy and be the villain, and you get to go ruin their senior day, it's the greatest feeling in the entire universe. I'm just telling you, I've done it twice. I did it against Mike Hart, Chad Henne, Jake Long, guys are real talkative, and Jake Long is actually, and Chad Henne are actually really solid guys. I was with them with the Miami Dolphins, but Mike Hart is a total douchebag. So to ruin his senior day was absolutely amazing. But I just, you have instant energy. It's like boundless energy when you're out there. Like, there's nothing that is going to take you off that field, stop you. You can't get tired because those people hate you so much up there. The booing is amazing. And just winning up there, easily one of the greatest feelings in my life. People say the kids are being born, and I mean, it's probably tied. And I love my kids and family and everything, but it's just like, not everybody gets to beat Michigan. So, I mean, beating them up there, especially after living through the 90s, like, unbelievable feeling. Beating him as a senior in 07 is my favorite game ever because we beat him 14-3, ran the ball constantly. Ran the ball the entire second half. It was a Woody Hayes kind of day, cold, windy, rainy. Had to pack that defense, pack that running game, and I think it's gonna be the same way this week. And again, if it gets rainy and nasty like it can be sometimes, Trey Henderson time, baby. Hand it to him and let that dude eat. Jamie Coburn, thank you for the 5. How much will the disrespectful flag planting serve as motivation this year? I think it's going to be very motivating. Again, Nevada has a great saying when he talks about the tab being due. Well, you guys want to go do that when we're all off the field and go plant our flag and wave it around and do all that stuff. That's fine. But, again, I wouldn't have done that. And I hate Michigan, and I do all kinds of crazy stuff. I smoke cigars in the post-game press conference after we beat Michigan. I do all kinds of crazy stuff. I want to plant the flag because I think, I hate Michigan. I disrespect Michigan. But, I think it's corny, honestly. I don't do anything where I'm associated with Baker Mayfield, our boy Midget Magoo. But Nevada, do you think that the flag plant is going to be a disrespectful thing to them?
Look, I think it's one of those things where, I mean, motivation. You played in these games, and it's how much more motivation did you need to play in these games? I mean, I'd imagine you were already amped up enough in terms of I always wonder what's too much. Like, where's the line in terms of being too amped up, too excited? I mean, look, frankly, I'm more worried for our fans that are going up there. If we got fans that are going up there to Michigan, I mean, I really think it's going to be dangerous for Ohio State fans up there. I sincerely mean that. I really think it's going to be dangerous up there, and I just want to like for the people that are going up, put it in the chat. Like, are you going up there to Ann Arbor? And if you are you going to wear a Kevlar or anything else like that, or what are you going to do? Because I think it's going to be a crazy, unfriendly type of situation, and I don't trust those crazies.
Yeah, again, I think it's going to be nasty. Again, I never wanted my mom to even wear red there. I was like, don't wear red. Don't be a target. Don't stupid people. My family would wear my jerseys up there and stuff. And, I was just like, don't, because it just takes like a bunch of drunk idiots to be stupid. And I don't know. But you're right. It is an interesting thing. Like the hardest thing for Ryan Day to manage this week is now you've got this bubbling cauldron of the Ohio State Michigan. The game is here. They're decorating the weight room right now. They put Michigan stuff all over the weight room. They beat Michigan stuff. The red X's through the M's are going across the campus tomorrow. But it really is, it's difficult to measure how to properly time the emotion up, because you don't want to peak early in the week. You don't want to get all gassed up and exhausted. I mean, something I did is like the day before games, I was totally chill. I was relaxed. I'll never forget in 07, when you go on the road and you're staying at the hotel, you usually get to rent a movie. Like you get to rent one of the little whatever. So Superbad had just come out. I never heard of it. And Rory Nichols said it was hilarious. So I was like, well, he was my roommate, so let's watch it. And if you guys haven't seen Superbad is one of the funniest movies of all time. And I was crying laughing because it is so good. I mean, Seth Rogen back when he was fat is hilarious in it. And it was kind of like one of those things where it's kind of like the Spartans, like before they go to war, they're drinking and partying and doing whatever. Like it's not just sit around and like growl and be all tight, because that was just how I functioned best. Like the day before the game, I was completely loose. I had no anxiety. I wasn't scared of anything. I wasn't really thinking about. You're always thinking about the game, but you don't want to get too jazzed up. Now the next day, and Urban did that. Urban was great. That he's called the best Fridays of football, where it was watch a movie, cut up, play cards, have fun. But then the next day, it's Full Metal Jacket. It's Vietnam. It is. I mean, there's no smiling. There's no playing. It is off the chain. And again, that's kind of how I was. Like when you wake up that next day and that clock and you see that sun coming up, it's wartime. It's absolute wartime. And then it's time to go, because it's the thing about Michigan, man, is it's at noon, so you're waking up and it's go time. There ain't no sitting around, ain't no walkthroughs. You do a little quick walkthrough, but it's not like a late game where you got to do 7 walkthroughs, that's why I hated late games, because I hated all the extra walkthroughs we had to do. They're so stupid and pointless. But it's going to be really it's going to be interesting. Because like I said, Tressel was a master at it, man. He got us ready to go at the right time. Tress on Sundays would bring in Earl Bruce, who was like one of the greatest speakers ever. Is absolutely crazy. And again, that guy lost to Michigan a lot, and he beat Michigan a lot, so he knows how different the city is and how different his life is when you win that game or lose that game. Because he was the head coach here for a long time, worked with Woody. Trust would bring in Jack Tatum on Wednesday nights. Jack Tatum was one of my 5 favorite Buckeyes ever, most ferocious monster ever. And I used to love hearing from these guys because I loved hearing from the OGs, the legends, John Hicks, like those guys, like what it meant to beat Michigan and what it meant to lose to Michigan. Because that's the thing is like for a while, until these last 2 years, a lot of these guys didn't know what it meant to lose to Michigan. They didn't know how bad it was in Columbus, Ohio, when you lose to Michigan, how bad it is for your brand, your livelihood, whatever. Because everything else has been great around here except for losing to Michigan the last year. So I think it's gonna be fascinating to see how Ryan manages that because that's his biggest job. Is you just can't peak the team at too early. Another super chat, Buckeye one. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you both. This is the best show on YouTube. I appreciate that, man. I mean, again, Nevada and I, we work nonstop to make the show better, make it more fun, figure out how to be more interactive, figure out how to just make it, just keep evolving it to be the premier Ohio State football show. And again, people can say whatever they want, but look at our numbers. I mean, there's a lot of people tune in, a lot of people enjoy this, and a lot of you guys are, you're carrying the show because you guys ask great questions. Again, it makes our jobs easy when you guys have such great things, and we can try to give you some insight on that. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? Best show on YouTube? We're trying, guys.
Yeah, no, it's the most fun show for sure, and
Yeah.
like you said, it's definitely a customer driven show because we come on and we have an idea of what we're going to talk about, but the show always ends up in about 19 different directions based upon the questions, and I think
Yeah.
that's the fun part. I mean, one thing to do, pardon the interruption, you have your set topics and you kind of do it, but like we like to be a little bit more free flowing, and for me, that's kind of the fun part of the show.
Totally agree. I love this third down package. You got the 2 stand-up guys here. You got Cody. Again, Cody's the ultimate luxury because he's going to have to start anywhere except here because of Tommy. But you sit him, and they do this little pick play. And again, this is a great way to stop the run. So it's 3rd and 7. This is normally passing down, but they decide to run it. And you just see guys defeating blocks. You see guys getting to the quarterback, or excuse me, the running back, and just swallowing stuff up. And again, this is the kind of stuff, this is exotic. Again, this is hard when you're the O-line and you're trying to figure out how to block this guy and he can just step back and read the play like this. That's hard to block. Again, like, ideally I think these guys want to zone everything, but when he can step back behind this, if you can't pass all these guys off to get to him, he's going to be free. So he's right there. Jack Sawyer, again, another tackle for loss. Again, Jack sets a great edge here. Again, I don't know, everyone loves sacks, but Jack makes this play because this edge is like the Great Wall of China. He stops this guy. This guy's nowhere to go except up in here. And Jack makes this play because this edge is perfect right there. And you rally to the spot and you got nowhere to go. And Jack makes the play. But again, Jack Sawyer's playing great football right now. It's like, if there's ever a guy that I'm excited to see against Michigan, especially if their tackles playing average at this point. Jack and JT are the 2 guys I just can't wait to see. What else, Nevada? Again, this has been a fantastic show, fantastic run. What else are you gonna talk about? I mean, again, Michigan. What are your keys? Give me 2 keys. Give me a key on offense, key on defense to beating Michigan next week.
Well, contain McCarthy on D. Do not let McCarthy beat you with his legs. And offensively, just Ryan Day. Ryan Day's the key on offense, and if he can, stay within his rhythm, play not to lose. Again, remember that Georgia game last year? Like nobody expected us to win that Georgia game, and so he kind of came out and let it all hang out, and that was a virtuoso performance for 4 quarters. Needs to do that again next week. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't play not to win or not to lose. Rather, just go out there and let it all hang out. Let's get her done.
Yeah, I totally agree. Appreciate you guys. I'll break down a couple more plays and we'll get you guys out of here. Mech is the X factor. I think that Trey's 1, Marvin's 2, Mech is 3. But I mean the triplets out here. I love this touch pass. This is a nice free completion for Kyle McCord. Grab it, flip it. This is a pass, so you get the passing stats. Great job by Cade. Again, when you run this with speed, you just book him, you block him. Excuse me, you don't block the DN and you just arc for this. So, but I mean, this is just so easy. You get this. Cade's the guy that makes the whole play. But this is a play that I love because literally only two guys have to block anybody, and you get a ton of yardage. So, there goes Mac again. That's a pass. So Kyle gets the pass yards for it. But like, that's so easy. That's free money. And again, Mac being able to do that. Mac's got that skill set. He's like Robert Woods. He's like some of these guys that in the league they use for reverses. Tank Dell's doing that a lot now with CJ, the receiver for Houston. But I love watching that. We got a couple more super chats coming in. Treasure the Torah, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 20. That is very generous of you. Thank you, my man. Love this show as well. What really made me subscribe is when you guys were not afraid to stand up for the truth and speak to the truth of Michigan skin. Well, I mean, you got to understand, like, it's not that we speak the truth, but we have better sources than everybody. Because again, I know a lot of you guys know, like, our backgrounds, especially Nevada's background. Like, we talk to some people that are really high up in the food chain in the major players of college sports. So it's not like we're not just using a Ouija board here. Like, we have people that really are in the know, and they know. It's not that they know just what's going on, but they know the players, their tendencies. Rob Petiti. We've got people that have known him for a long time, and they know how he ticks and functions, and how he does not like to be played. So, but Nevada speak to that again because I think that we've gained probably more credibility in the last month. I mean, this has been one of the greatest months ever because we've nailed everything, and also big shout out to the Oracle. Like, we have the Oracle. That's the guy who's total covert ops who's on our site, and he is wicked sourced up. And I mean, he tells us stuff, and I'm just like, holy cow! Run to BuckeyeScoop.com and put that on the board right now. Like that, don't let anyone beat us on that. So, but your thoughts on that, Nevada? Because again, I mean, I give you a lot of credit. I give Oracle a lot of credit just because of the people you talk to in the college football galaxy, and it's big time stuff.
Well, this story was kind of tailor-made for us in that my best contacts are on the agent and broadcasting side, and this was an agent and broadcasting side driven story. And for the Oracle, it's admin, and that's another part where there's big touch points. So I think we've been able to dominate. It's funny that the Michigan insider's explanation why we're dominating the story is because somehow we funded the PI firm that did the thing or something like that, or that's how we got the information.
We did?
Yeah, or that the Ohio State site that they're getting the information from the PI firm. And let me tell you for the record, I'm not getting the information from any PI firm or anything. That's not where the information's coming from. But you just can't, in this game, what you find is when you just talk to the school that you're covering, they lie to you. They lie to you. They play you. They manipulate you. And in a lot of times, and I've been doing this for a long time, they don't know as much as we do. They don't. You think that Ohio State would be like the being all-knowing oracle of information on the stuff? They don't. Not on recruiting, not on stuff that's happening. Sometimes not on their own team. I'll have them contact us and say, "Hey, I saw you put something up there about a injury or so. Who are you talking about?" They don't know. So it's like you'd like to think that they know all this stuff. I'm just letting you know they don't. So if that's your source and you're getting your information just from them, you're going to be wrong. And in this case, the Michigan insiders have they've looked silly. It's been embarrassing how they haven't gotten anything right. And so but maybe it's a cautionary tale for them. Maybe they'll be better. Maybe they'll learn to not just be source reliant like that, or to stop making stuff up. Either one works.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I remember I had a guy that was out. God, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I got a text from inside the Woody Hayes that said, "Who's out? What starter's out?" And I told him, and he's like, "He is?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, he's out, surgery." And he's like, "I didn't know that." And I was like, "Well, you better go to the staff meeting at 10, and they're gonna say he's out for it was a little surgery, so he's only out for like a couple of weeks, but." It was, I mean, he didn't know, and I knew, and it was on our site. And, some of these people in the Woody Hayes read our site like every 15 minutes. They check in, and we can see when they log in. So, again, we're the only site that the people that actually work at the Woody Hayes pay to subscribe to. So, I mean, sometimes it's to their benefit. And again, like with the Al Washington thing when he was going to Tennessee, I mean, we had that, and I had people blowing me up in the Woody Hayes saying, "What's going on with Al?" And I was like, well, he signed the papers, and then he didn't sign the papers, and Ryan Day questioned his loyalty. And Al was salty at me. And I'm like, dude, you actually have a SEC school who's dumb enough to hire you. as a defensive coordinator and pay you like $1.5 million a year. Tennessee was going to pay him like a 3-year guaranteed $4.5 million deal. And I'm like, and you're mad at me because I reported that? Because again, it already got out there. But I just think, and again, I'm like, dude, like you can always go back to being a linebackers coach. So he sticks with Ryan, and then Ryan gasses him a year later, fires him. He has at Notre Dame, and again, he's fine. He's eating. He's not on the breadline. He's at Notre Dame, and thank God he was, because he's the guy that didn't sub in 4 D linemen or 5 D linemen in goal line, and they only had 3 out there, and we ran right where that guy was, and we scored and beat him. So, but appreciate you guys. eBuckeye91, appreciate you, brother. What do you think OSU will do best on offense and defense against the cheaters up north? I think we're going to run the ball on these guys. I know that's crazy, but you get on the edge with Trey Henderson, man. Again, he doesn't need a lot to rip them in half, and that's kind of what he does. Defensively, I just think we're going to stop the run. I really do. I think that like these guys are wired up. I think Jack and JT set the tone, set the edges. The linebackers, Cody, whatever we get out of Tommy will be a bonus. But if we just got to roll with Cody and Steele, but the thing that really makes me excited about the defense is Sonny and Josh Proctor at safety. And like I said, I love this. Not me slide a slide on, or excuse me, whatever on Lathan Ransom. Like Lathan is a fantastic kid, love him. But if you say, Kirk, I'm going to put a gun against your head, you say, who are the 2 safeties you want against Michigan and what they do in the running game? I say, give me Sonny, the LeBron James of safeties, and then give me Josh Proctor, who's Jack Tatum reincarnated. Because Josh, I'm telling you, if he hits somebody, they turn into a pile of dust. So, this is a Josh Proctor, Sonny Styles kind of game at safety. Ultra excited to see it. I'm not worried about their guys on the edge for the receiver game, but that's my thought. Your thought on that, Nevada?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great assessment. Just, cover the tight end, cover McCarthy, do your thing, and force McCarthy into throwing situations. That's an advantage us. Every time he goes back to pass, there's the potential something good happening for Ohio State, and so let's put him in as many of those situations as possible.
Totally agree. Go Bucks 33. Appreciate you, my man. Back again. Hey, again, we're here all night. Again, if you guys want us to work all night, we will. Because again, there's sometimes we're like think we're gonna wrap this thing up and we'll get flooded with super chats. So it's kind of like, if you're at your favorite watering hole bar, whatever, you say, hey, can we get another hour? I'll pay for it. And the guy's like, sure, turn the lights on, keep the girls there serving the beers, whatever. Like, it's kind of how we are. Because like we don't really have anything else to do, and I don't really care about the night game. So you guys want to keep the party rolling, again, get those questions in. Because again, I love answering these because you guys always make me, like sharpen my sword, make sure I'm ready to go. Because you guys bring some heat for us. So back again, thank you so much. Had a few too many, been there before, obviously. Found the pod this year and I'm hooked. How do you think you'll do against Holden Corum? I just, again, our defense has to go against Trey Henderson when they go ones versus ones, which isn't this time of year. It's not that much, but I don't really think it's not Blake Corum. I just don't think that their offensive line is as good. I don't think the tackles are as good this year. I don't think that the center is as good this year. The center last year, the guy from Virginia, who was Remington winner, was really good. So I think 3 of the 5 spots are not as good as they were last year. And I think we are way better on the D-line than we were last year. I think Jack and JT are playing fantastic. I think that Ty Leak has been an absolute man-child in the middle. I think that, our safety play is fantastic. Our safety play has just been incredible this year. So, again, I think as the holistic defense in year 2 of Jim Knowles' system where these guys, again, it's not a cliche when he says guys really know the system. They're just reacting now. It's not wondering and thinking and, what's this play? And I've lived that. Like when you're in year 2 of a system, your life is just all reaction, which is exactly where you want to be in life. But Nevada, what do you think? I'm not worried about Blake Corum at all, but your thoughts?
No, not worried about Blake Corum, not worried about Edwards. And boy, you don't want to take the walk down memory lane too far back, but boy, how many people were calling for Jim Knowles to be fired after last year? And it's like, man, like what a bad take. This guy, I don't know if they take bet. I'll have to check the odds on the Broyles Award, but he's got to be the odds-on favorite to be the Broyles Award winner. What a transformation in a defense from one year to the next. And it's just a joy to watch. Whenever the defense runs out in the field now, I expect them to go 3-and-out. I expect something good to happen. And I haven't felt that way about the OSU defense in a few years, and it's just a great feeling to see that. And he's going to be such an asset up there in Ann Arbor next week, and this is his kind of game. It's his time to kind of shut him down. It's his time to kind of shut people up, and I'm glad we have him on our side.
Treasure the Torah, this is absolutely incredible. This is the biggest super chat we've ever gotten. $50. Thank you so much, my friend. Also, I really love the comprehensive breakdown you gave with film footage showing how much of an advantage you can have when you know the play someone's going to run. That was phenomenal, simply superb. Dude, $50 for super chat. Thank you so much. That's outstanding to support the channel, support what we do. But yeah, like again, I tell people like, whatever you like. If everyone's played cards, everybody's played, Clue or anything where there's some mystery and you don't know what other people have in their hands. If all of a sudden you can see everyone's hands, like if you have some sort of X-Man, Superman power where you can magically see what everybody else has, like you're gonna win. Like it's impossible not to win because if you have all the information, they have none of it, then you have the biggest advantage in the world. And again, like when Connor Stallions is there and he's picking the signs and he's accurate at a very, very high rate. And he can say, hey, it's a run right. Because again, like you only have to pick up they do all the gyrations and a lot of it is the formation. And then there's a couple little hand gestures that are the actual play. And again, a guy like Connor Stallions, he's got military background and he's a strange bird. I'm sure he was studying that tape incessantly. So, again, think of it like flashcards. Think of it like something where you're studying for a test, for chemistry class in high school, and you remember the periodic table or something and you just got to keep repeating it until it's drilled into your head. I'm sure that's what he's doing for our science. So when I got to game day, it was it was like one of those things where you're seeing it in real time, you're spitting it out in real time, and it's just such a tremendous advantage. Again, if I know. It's like if you guys play Madden back in the day and you're screen watching against your buddy and you can see what plays and what blitz he's in, whatever, a lot easier to stop. But your thoughts on that, Nevada? And again, thank you so much for the 50. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was such a huge advantage, and we talked about this on last night's show, but the fact that Uncle T, the booster that was funding the Stallions, caper, was writing about this on message boards and bragging about this plan and how they'd come up with it and how he was financing it and thanking people for the ideas and things like. I mean, you get an inside look to be able to look at this in real time, see what this is about. I mean, it was disgusting reading that, and it's like you see how this whole thing came together. Some jamoke from Michigan had this idea. Hey, let's just record all the signals and put them in a book and match them up and cheat, and they went out and did it, and it was just absolutely. And then they have the audacity to think they could get away with it, and then they have the audacity to complain about it when they're caught. So it's just I just don't have words. But reading that, I don't know why, but reading that on that message board just kind of brought it all home for me. Just how shameless and how how underhanded this entire thing was, and from as an advantage standpoint, and for people to talk about this being just a small advantage or no advantage, or I mean, I really think that might be the worst take. I mean, worse than Trey Henderson's bad, worse than Fire Knowles, worse than Jack and JT can't play. I mean, that's the dumbest take that I've ever heard. That this isn't an advantage. It's the whole game, man. It's the whole game. And I will go to my grave believing that the reason that they won the last 2 years, certainly why they won so convincingly 2 years ago, and the singular reason they won last year was because of this cheating. So that's how impactful it was to the program. That's it. And the punishment needs to fit the crime. The crime was terrible. The punishment needs to be so awful that they never want to contemplate doing this again.
I totally agree. I mean, it's got to be the hammer of God has come down. Because again, you can't let this happen again because it just destroys the integrity, not only of the team, but of the conference. If this is like a consistent thing everyone's doing, it's not good for the game of football. And I think that they're going to get disciplined accordingly. So I appreciate you, Treasure the Torah. You're the best. Thank you, brother. Jim Saunders, appreciate you, my man. Sanders, excuse me. Thank you for the 5. Is Tommy healthy enough to play a team up north? I think he's going to be a game time decision. I really do. I know that Tommy will move heaven and earth to play because he's one of the toughest dudes in program history. But we'll see. But Cody Simon was really good today. So, again, I just have learned this year that, whoever we got to roll with. And whoever we've had has been good enough. I mean, we've lost a lot of guys. Denzel Burke, Mike Hall, Lathan. We had a ton of guys hurt this year. Mecca. And, magically, like we're undefeated. So, again, it's next man up. Tommy obviously is a huge impact player. But I think that, as long as we got our two DNs out there and Ty Lake, I'm very happy. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I think he'll play. I think he'll play. I think it's going to take a lot more than what they haven't to not play. Yeah, everything I'm hearing is he'll play.
Yeah, perfect. Jared, hey, Brandon, appreciate you, brother. Scoop Ultra member. Again, you get the little badge. But as always, thank you so much for supporting us. I was in Ann Arbor 2 years ago. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine what that was like. They had the best damn band in the land up on the last row instead of on the field, of course, because they're idiots like that. Played super loud noise through the speakers between plays. Who knows what crap they're doing this year? Yeah, again, like I always suspected that like Penn State would pipe in sound during the plays because it was so astronomically loud. And I remember like I talked to Urban about that. And again, I was this little GA. Like I'm not. He's not gonna like this. Oh, Ben, let me bend your ear quick. But I was like, I just was like, this place is really loud. And I was like, this is probably the loudest place you'll ever play. And he's like, I've played at Death Valley, LSU at night. And I'm like, this place will be louder. I promise you. So then, like, we get to the coaches, the film next day, and I'm with like Tim Hinton and a bunch of guys that are still there. And I was like, I told you that place was loud. Because we played them at night in 12. And they're like, that was the loudest place we've ever been. And I was like, because again, like there's like something supernatural about the noise. And again, I swear to God, they pump it in through the speakers. Because I don't know if 107,000 human beings can really be that loud. Because the Shoes got 103,000 or 2,000. They took out like 3,000 or 4,000 seats when they put in the new suites. But it gets loud, but it doesn't get like deafening loud like Penn State does. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they pumped that in. It'd be interesting to see if you're going this year, but I couldn't imagine being there last year when they won for the first time ever. But your thoughts on that, Nevada? Do you think Nevada's pumping, or do you think Michigan's pumping sound in? I mean, I've played up there. It's not crazy loud. And again, we played up there when they were good in 07. They weren't great in 05, but they still had Henny and Hart and all those guys. But it never struck me as like an ultra loud venue. But your thoughts about it?
No, it's not. Acoustically, it's not. I mean, it's probably the quietest big place that you can ever go to. Now, Penn State, on the other hand, yeah, they definitely they pump in the white noise and it just makes it deafening up there. And they're good at it. They're really, really good at it. But now, I don't think Michigan's a particularly difficult place to play from that standpoint. From a noise standpoint, I think it's actually pretty moderate.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, again, the acoustics of a stadium, I'm not trying to be an engineer or Mr. Fancy guy here, but it's like that does an absolute ton. Because again, I also played at Washington in 07. The Huskies are joining the Big Ten. Obviously, they're a top, whatever 7-8ish team right now, but their stadium is incredibly loud. Between the 30, it's around the 30s, maybe the 35s. They've got this big awning that's metal, and it's not a dome, but it's like this awning catches the noise. So between the 30s, it was like insanely loud, just because it's like this metal pushes the sound all down back on you. And again, Doug Calland, he's probably the last of the Mohicans, the last trainer that's still at Ohio State from the Cooper era. He actually talked to the team about it. 'Cause he worked at Washington. Jim Haycock worked at Washington. He talked about, guys, like when you're on offense between the 30s, man, it is really loud. And again, we practice with noise. I mean, these guys will practice with noise all week, but some places are just way louder than others. That's a fantastic question. And if you are going, Jared, travel safe. Larry Daniels, Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. I went through a YouTube time warp earlier and circled back to the beginning of the show. How vanilla did the Cheaters Up North look today to you? I thought average. Again, Nevada, you're taking this one. You nailed the game. I whiffed on the game. I thought that Michigan was going to steamroll those guys. It was a 7-point game where they called a safety. And again, if they don't call that, and again, it was a correct call, I think, on that intentional grounding. But, I mean, Talia Tagovailoa had a chance to win the game. And he threw intentional grounding in the end zone, which is automatically a safety. But what were your thoughts? Did Michigan look vanilla to you?
No, they just didn't look very good. I mean, it
No.
wasn't vanilla play calling. It's just, I mean, it's the same play calling they do every week. I mean, that's their game. That's what they do. So
Yeah.
from unless they completely change and revamp what they're doing, I think they're going to have a tough time, this week. And I felt that all year long. I felt I've had a really good handle on this Ohio State team. I've had a really good handle on the Michigan team. Made a lot of money betting on both the teams this year. When I thought Ohio State would be flat, you know, bet against not bet against them to lose, but bet against them not to cover. And I really think this is setting up to be a great spot for Ohio State. I love Ohio State as an underdog. Go look at back to over the last 20 years how Ohio State's done as an underdog. It's incredible. It's a rare spot to get, and you're going to get it this week, so take advantage of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. VP of Hype, thanks for the deuce, my man. If you have any question, go ahead and toss that in there. Super chats keep coming. So if you guys got super chats, you want to keep this thing going. Your questions are fantastic. I'm going to break some film down too as well. Has the Cheaters up north looked average the past 2 games because Jim Harbaugh suspended along with Stallions being gone, or is it just him being suspended? I think it's Stallions being gone. Yeah, I mean Harbaugh is the head coach, but I mean gassing Connor Stallions is made these guys look real average. They're not world beaters anymore because they don't know exactly what plays they're getting on offense and defense from the opposing team. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada? How big of an impact has Harbaugh had versus Stallions?
That's a tough one. I mean, the one game that Harbaugh was here, they didn't cover. The Purdue game, and since then they've been 1-1 without Harbaugh. And I'm talking about just against the spread, but looked terrible today. Could have lost up in Penn State. So no, it's just different for them, and they're when you grow addicted to something like they have, it's hard to get back and play it straight, and I'm sure they're struggling with that. But I want to say one thing before we go, because my phone is down to like 3% right now. So if I fuzz out, guys, let me. I'll have to say my goodbyes because my phone is about to die. I thought I had like 87% coming in, but this eCam is sucking down my battery like crazy right now.
You know what? We got to keep Nevada's phone in your prayers. You guys are melting Nevada's phone, so you guys should be proud of that. I'm actually going to dive into the film. Let's watch Trey real quick because this is a fantastic run. Kind of an interesting formation, a double wing. You don't see that a ton. You get your double wings here. But again, Trey, this is part of Mecca. So Mecca, he's aligned as a tight end, comes across a lot of action. Again, he just has to get in the way here. He doesn't have to kill the guy. Really nice blocking by the O line does great here. Again, the guy that kind of makes it back here, he's got an easy block is Jimmy Simmons stealing this guy right here. Front side, everything's all taken care of, nice and easy. Good combos. Again, this guy, Matt Jones has been an absolute elephant playing right guard. So he's launching this guy into oblivion, and they climb. Carson does a good job here. But again, like look at the force from Matt. I mean, Matt is a 6-year guy, and he's playing. I mean, I was in the league at year 6. I was a 5-year guy at Ohio State. But I always fantasized like I couldn't imagine how good I'd have been in a 6-year because I mean my rookie year in the NFL I was on an active roster every week and I was bigger, stronger, faster, more confident the whole 9. I was like God if I would have came back for one more year because that '08 team they only lost me and Vernon Golston. I mean everyone else was guys that weren't starters. But this rolls all the way back and again this is the guy that's going to make the play and again. Trey hits the he hits the wiggle on the stick like you're playing PlayStation, and all of a sudden he jump cuts. Julian Fleming gets just enough. Marvin gets just enough bad angle, and again this is terrifying right here when you're these guys, and you know that this guy is a 4-3-0 guy right here, and these guys are not 4-3-0. That's what 4-3-0 does, folks. And again, that's why I love Trey. I mean, again, that is just pure beauty. Again, I've been on the field for guys like Beanie and Pitt, and Pitt had that long run versus Notre Dame, and it just electrifies the entire team. It's unbelievable, and that's the home run ability that you just can't do without when you're really looking at what a first round running back does. Again, that's like when you look at the top guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, they're one. Like true elite trait is that they have home run speed, like 4.30 speed, where they can get into the space. And if they get into space and they make a guy miss in modern football, it's curtains, you know. And again, that's what guys that are these wizard offensive coordinators want. They want to put that guy on a slot linebacker or a nickel back, or toss him the ball in space and let him make one guy miss it and he's going to the crib. So, well, Nevada, we'll wrap this thing up. I know your phone's about to explode in your hand. But your thoughts. Welcome to Hate Week.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I can't wait. Can't wait for this game next week. But I'm telling you right now, I'm betting Ohio State. I'm betting the under. I'm taking the points. I'm betting them on the money line. Ohio State's going to win up there in Columbus or up in Ann Arbor next week. Mark it down and hold me to it.
I totally agree. And a final thing I want to say, as Nevada, you can leave because I know that you're about to be your phone's about to explode. I'd love to hear, what are your traditions for Michigan week? Put that down in the comments. Put that in the chat. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. This is a record-breaking show for us. So, you guys really help us carry the show. Scoop Ultra is a new feature. We're gonna have Ultra chats. There's just gonna be members of Scoop Ultra that can join. So appreciate you guys supporting the channel. As always, our subscribers are huge. If you want the best online experience for Ohio State football, the #1 inside information board is BuckeyeScoop.com. Again, we've had just an insane month of just breaking story after story. Nevada talks about he's got major connections in the TV network sphere, and so does Oracle. So, Oracle talks to some of the top people in college football. So they move in circles that are extremely impressive, and it makes it really fun when we get to break these stories. So if you guys love Ohio State football and really want to know the best inside information, join BuckeyeScoop.com. We have a fantastic community. I'm going to be on it all night. But again, we appreciate you guys and your support so much. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click the little alert bell. Again, it'll let you know when we go live. So when we go live, you guys are ready to rock with us, and we can take your questions, break some film down, and just have a great time. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to do likely 2 days because we want to keep this thing cranking, and it is Hate Week. So time to beat Michigan, folks. The week we've been waiting for. It's time to get our revenge. So thank you, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.